Okay, so I came up with this interesting triangle question for you guys. Let's have a look. So we are going to start with a right triangle like this. And what we want to do first is, I want to pick one of the sides right here to be 1. Let's say we have the 1 right here. And then we are going to multiply this 1 right here by a value x to get to the hypotenuse. So this is x now. And then I'm going to multiply this by x again to get to the other side. So here we will get x squared. And now the question is that, does this triangle exist in the real world? Well, let's take a look at some conditions. Firstly, in order for this to make sense, since we have this side being x already, so x has to be positive. Secondly, based on our labeling, this side has to be less than the hypotenuse. So the other condition is that x squared has to be less than x. How do we solve this inequality? Well, we know that x is positive, so we can legitimately divide both sides by x, and that is very nice, because that way we see x has to be less than 1. So in order for this to be true, I was thinking that, okay, x has to be in between of 0 and 1. So it kind of makes sense. But don't forget, because I put this triangle on the right triangle, so we will have to ask ourselves, does this satisfy the Pythagorean theorem? Well, we don't know yet. Let's go ahead and find out. So first, I will call this side A, this side B, and the hypotenuse has to be C. And then a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. We must have 1 squared plus b, which is x squared, and then square that. That has to be equal to c squared, which is x squared. Now, work this out a little bit. We get 1 plus x to the 4th is equal to x squared. And put this to the other side and reorganize it. X to the 4th minus x squared plus 1 is equal to 0. Now the question becomes, does this equation have any real solutions? In fact, none at all. And you have a few ways to do it. I think the easiest way is to just solve it. And firstly, you will see that this equation has no real solution, so that this is actually not a possible triangle. But let me just show you what if you allow complex numbers and see the solutions. The key to solving this, the easy way, is realizing this as a quadratic equation in terms of x squared. Because this is the same as x squared and then minus 1 times x squared and then plus 1 is equal to 0. Let's use the quadratic formula. The input x squared is equal to negative b, which is the negative 1 here, plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac. A is 1, c is 1, all over 2 times a. And then work this out. That's 1 plus or minus square root. What's this? 1 minus 3, we get negative. 1 minus 4, we get negative 3. Oh no, we have a negative inside of the square root. Game over, right? But anyways, let's just continue for the fun of it. Later, I'm going to put a negative on the outside and then we get the I. But before we do any of that, remember this is x squared. So we have x squared equals actually 2 different complex numbers. So how complex can x be? Very complex, I'll tell you that. Anyways, to continue, you take the square roots of the whole thing on the right hand side, put a plus or minus, get rid of this. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to solve this equation, x will be plus or minus big square root of 1 plus or minus. This thing will be the I. Keep the square root of 3 all over 2. And now you might be wondering, can we simplify this expression a little bit? I think so, or maybe not, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to leave the answer like this, like why not? So, if you allowed complex numbers, then you can work with this triangle. I think it's really cool because the idea is, if you pick one of these right here, it actually works. You start with one side being 1, multiply by an x value, you get to the hypotenuse. And then you multiply by x again, you get to the other side. I just thought it was really cool. Yeah. Anyways, just like random thought. And If you allow complex numbers on the side of a right triangle, you can do a lot of like fun stuff, like crazy things. One thing I believe many of you guys have seen on the internet before, if you have a triangle like this, let's say this side is 1, this side is I, then let me ask you, what will be the hypotenuse? You guys can leave an answer down below and let me know. That's it.